But we are going to win this. Number one, because we have the truth. And number two, because they will never be able to stop this.
A sign over I-40 in Durham is catching a lot of attention.
If you were driving on I-95 this morning, you may have seen a banner on the Connor Street pedestrian bridge.
And many have expressed concerns over the fast-tracked COVID-19 vaccine. One group in Fargo took their concern to a place where many could see it.
The demonstration was led by the Florida Freedom Keepers and the grassroots organization V is for Vaccine, aiming to let people know the risks of vaccines.
Medical freedom activists have set up banners in all 50 states today that read, "COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers are exempt from liability."
Today we're hanging a banner that says COVID-19 vaccines can cause injury and death in Bedford, New Hampshire.
Yeah, we put 4 signs up today, 3 in Columbus and 1 in the Dayton area. It's still early and we expect a lot of traffic.
We did a thing today. Say hello.
We're putting up a banner that says COVID vaccine manufacturers are exempt from liability. In Lawrence, Kansas.
In Fort Collins, Colorado.
In Spokane, Washington.
Today in North Georgia.
Auburn, California.
Kansas City, Kansas.
Queens, New York.
In San Diego, California.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Honolulu, Hawaii.
Why is it so important that people see these banners today? The thing is, people don't understand when the 1986 Act passed, that made all vaccine manufacturers, every company, every single one, they're completely exempt from liability.
It's so important that everybody at least knows the risk so that they can make an informed decision when that time comes to vaccinate.
There's no other drug that's FDA approved that isn't liable. Like, you can sue anybody for any other drug except for a vaccine. So people should just know that.
What that means is if you're injured by taking the COVID vaccine, you are on your own.
My daughter had a severe reaction to a vaccine 6 years ago. So I want people to know that if you have a reaction to a vaccine, the government's not going to help you.
People of all sides care about this, and whether you have people on the left or right, they all care about this vaccine for some reason. To me, this is making history. To me, this is for my kids and all kids, hopefully protecting the generations to come.
I couldn't be more proud. You know, we've been watching these incredible rallies around the world in England and Germany and wondering, when is America going to wake up? When is America going to do something? And this event, which happened over the weekend, which swept the country, made news organizations across the country bringing truth to drivers all over. And my understanding, even in several other countries that were involved in this, the brains behind it, V is for Vaccine. I'm joined right now by Olivia Mikos and Josh Coleman. First of all, thank you. Thank you. I mean, you know, we can sit here and talk and sit on our couches and I can deliver truth all day long. But if we don't get out in the streets and stand up and represent to the people and start waking people up en masse, then, you know, we can't complain about what ends up being our future. How did this event happen? What was the brains behind it? What made you think of doing it?
Well, it seems like a lot of the things that we've done have sort of come out of seeing a good opportunity. And so I saw that Sunday, November 29th was coming up, which is the biggest traffic day of the entire year. And we had just implemented putting out educational facts using the over the freeway overpass banners. And so with it being the big traffic day, I thought, you know, this is the time to go out there and do it. And it all just sort of evolved. At first I thought, let's get 10, 15 states on board. And then after all these really easy phone calls, every single person I talked to, they understood it, they got it, they were excited to make it happen, to organize in their state, that I just said, you know what? Let's keep going. Let's try to get all 50 states. And then, of course, then expanding also to Australia, Canada, and the United Kingdom. And it all came together beautifully. And, you know, I think we got a maximum impact going out on a day like that.
Olivia, what was your feeling as you started? I'm sure you're talking to all the different groups. They're probably calling in, had questions. You know, did you feel like it was a success? Was it what you had dreamed this could be?
Oh, it ended up being beyond what we expected. I mean, Josh has these ideas, and then I help implement these huge out of the box ideas he has, and I just kind of get in there and start working with it. And then it's funny, once it comes to fruition, that's when you really experience the magnitude of it. And this just blew me away. It absolutely blew me away. I had chills doing it, and just watching that again, I had chills, tears came down my eyes again. It's just beyond just seeing the impact that it's having. It's amazing to see how empowering it is for everyone involved. And I think that's huge, because this goes beyond just getting the truth out there too. This is to me a spiritual battle. So there's something about empowering everybody to speak the truth and to contribute to make this world better.
You know, I reflect back, Josh, you and I were on the Vax bus for many, many months together, traveling with that film, and you did such a brilliant job documenting all of the parent stories, a great contributor to the follow-up film, the People's Choice, or The People's Truth. You know, and I think now looking, you know, we all sort of went different directions. We found different places. Polly is doing her work. Andy Wakefield is off making his films. But, you know, and of course, the informed consent action work and the High Wire. But Josh, I am so blown away at how this has come together, to watch you building this environment. It was something that, you know, you found a place that nobody thought to go, right? I mean, you and I would go to these rallies, and it'd be a small group of people, and it was hard to sort of stay aligned. Everybody kept saying, we've got to come up with a common thought or a common theme. And instead of sort of having to stand there and say, hey, everybody, follow me, you gave this movement a look. You gave it multiple statements so that each person could choose their own statement, you know, and not have to argue with each other. I want to talk about, you know, liability. I want to talk about aborted fetal cell lines. You did something brilliant. You said, let's talk about it all, but let's stand together. When I think of people that say, I just don't know what to do, I don't know how to move forward, how do you move forward, Josh? How do you find your way to having created such an important part of this movement? What is the secret sauce?
Well, you know, I think it came out of the shadow banning and the censorship. You know, as after the Vax bus, I continued to make video content, and they were burying my content. I was spending all this time creating these videos, and they weren't being seen. They were being seen by people within the community, and I just wasn't getting it out there. And after experimenting with the large signs, you know, going out on my own and having one sign at Comic-Con dressed as the plague doctor, and realizing that the tens of thousands of people that were walking around me, all of them are looking. Not one person could walk by without looking at the sign and reading it. So I thought, and this is one guy with one sign, and I'm reaching a large number of people. So it was really like, how do I put a template forward for other people to do this? You know, this is simple, it's easy, it's cheap, anybody can do these types of things. And then of course the messaging was a whole nother ball game there. And I think a lot of the arguing that goes on within our community is oftentimes based on the messaging, or how do we do this or that, and really I tried to boil down with Olivia the strongest messages, and the messages that are broad, you know, that we see that on the other side. We see the pharmaceutical companies, they have 5 or 6 things that they've been saying over and over again for decades now, and everybody's memorized these things. And we of course have the most passionate activists in the world, but what we see is our activists are going out with 100 different things that they want to talk about, because they have so much knowledge, and they want to dump it all on everybody. But I think sometimes we forget, like, you know, initially we just want like some surface, very broad, very easy to assimilate information. And so that's what we did together, is worked a very long time on the messaging, and then coming up with what we thought were the strongest points that could easily be verified with government sources. You know, we even have these flyers that go along with the signs. You know, the flyer looks just like the sign on one side, and then you turn it around and you have a little bit of detail about that particular fact, and then a QR code that the person can scan with their phone that takes them directly to the government source to verify that piece of information. So, when we're out demonstrating and someone says, that's BS, or I don't believe it, it's take out your phone, here you go. And within seconds, they are finding out that that is in fact true. So really, I think we've just boiled it down and tried to simplify it and made it something easy that anybody can do.
Amazing, Josh. Olivia, for people that want to get involved, and get out on the street, which is, we are not going to do this sitting on our couches. How do we find you? How do we find out about the next V is for Vaccine event? How do we get involved?
Well, they can come to visforvaccine.com. We're also on Instagram and Facebook at visforvaccine. But what we are strongly trying to encourage people to do is to not wait for us to, start a demonstration or to get people out, but to do it on their own. So when they go to our website, they will find basically they can download all of the graphics for the signs. We have resources for them to go purchase the banners themselves or just purchase already pre-made signs as well. And we also have tutorials on there how to put the signs together, etc. And so, no need to wait for anybody else. We want to empower everybody. Everybody should get out and do this. So, if you have the drive to do it, go to visforvaccine.com, go download the graphics, go print up some signs, go find a place where there's a ton of people and just get out there and do it. Get out there and educate. And the other thing too that's wonderful, about our template is that along with the, the flyers Josh just showed you, anybody can do it. There's people who, have difficulty engaging with others and talking about the subject or being able to back up the fact that they have on the sign. So if they're not one to sit there and go back and forth with somebody, all they need to do is hand this to them. So they can go out there and be an activist, spread the truth without, having to, put themselves completely out there. So it's, it's for everyone. And the other thing too is, if really this isn't for you and you don't want to get out of your house, or it's difficult for you to get out of your house, we do, aside from doing that, we actually encourage people to donate to us because that helps us facilitate events like we did last weekend. We helped supplement a bunch of states with their banners and whatnot. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to get involved. So either donate or make one yourself.
Fantastic, you guys. They never saw this coming, and I was on a podcast the other day with David Martin, who said we've got to get analog. We cannot just be stuck on the internet. We've got to get out on the ground. And I think it's really simplified messages. And people come to me, Del, we got to get unified in our messages. I want to say, go to V is for Vaccine. Go help those guys out. The message is already there. It's so easy to do. Work with each other. Josh, Olivia, this is an amazing thing that you put together this weekend. We are seeing many of the events that you've been involved with before. We'll continue to follow that. Keep us updated on what's happening next. You are truly making a difference, and I want to thank you and congratulate you on being heroes in this movement at a time where so many are afraid. But know that you stand for so many families, so many children, and as we now know, so many scientists and doctors around the world that need us all to stand together right now so that we can win this. Josh, what are your final thoughts? What do you want to say to people out there? There's a lot of stress. People are freaking out. They feel like they don't have the power to overcome what's happening. What would you like to say to those people?
I would say I know how you feel. In March, when the lockdown started happening, I was about to wrap it up. I thought, holy cow, this is unbelievable. And it's not just our country, it's all the countries. And this amount of pressure and this amount of propaganda that's going out, it can be discouraging. But you should be encouraged, because what's going on right now is we are seeing people wake up like they've never woken up before. And before the pandemic, or whatever you want to call it, I think the people that were mostly interested in learning more about vaccines were people that were having a baby most often. Those were the people that were actually interested in having the conversation, taking time out of their day and learning more about it. But now that everybody knows that the only way everything's going to go back to normal is that they get this COVID-19 vaccine, they're actually now interested in learning more about COVID-19 vaccine or other vaccines in general. So we have their ear for the first time. Everybody, they are going to listen to what you say, and they're going to talk about what you say. You know, so it's actually a very exciting time for us. And meanwhile, we're seeing people lose faith in doctors and scientists. They're realizing that not all doctors are created equal, and so we need to really take advantage of that. And that's why we just need to get out there and talk to people and let them know the truth about what's going on.
Man, it's amazing. Such great words. The two of you and everybody that was involved in these events over the weekend and the ones in the future, it really makes me think of one of my favorite quotes. It's this quote right here. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. Josh, Olivia, thank you for leading us and showing us how we can make a difference. I'll see you at the finish line. Let's get this thing, all right? Take care.
Right on.